Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to everyone's favorite show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. Today's topics: did Madonna have an overdose? We're gonna find out. Also, mommy makeover nightmares. Did Kevin Costner's wife really spend $188,000 on plastic surgery in 1 month? And finally, the fentanyl crisis is getting worse. We're gonna talk about it right now.
Live from Lincoln Center in the heart of the Dallas Metroplex, this is Nip Talk. An honest and uncensored show about plastic surgery, health, beauty, and lifestyle with your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and your co-host, entrepreneur and social media influencer Sarah Bennett. Now it's time to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the topics everyone is talking about. It's time for Nip Talk.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann. With me always is the great Sarah Bennett.
Hi.
How's it going, Sarah? I love your outfit today, by the way.
Thanks.
Travis is not here today. I think it's his birthday or something. He's on vacation. That's awesome. So we have Sarah in the box. I don't think she has a camera, but Sarah, please feel free to chime in. We definitely want to hear.
Both Sarahs.
Yeah, two Sarahs.
Sarah Square.
We got Sarah Close and Sarah Far.
Is it with an H?
I love it. Yep, Sarah with an H, the right way.
You guys are like twinsies.
That's how Jesus wanted it to be.
That's good.
It's in the Bible that way.
So everything good with you, Sarah? Good week?
Yeah.
4th of July, see fireworks?
Yes.
You went and saw fireworks? You gave me
I saw fireworks at one of my friends' houses that has like a big...
Is this like a home firework kind of situation?
Yeah, but it was freaking awesome.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was
Nice.
really
So
good.
this is
Like they put like on, like whenever we went there, I was like, oh, we're just gonna like chill at somebody's yard and, you know, do sprinklers and like random things. But it was like a catered event.
Really? Oh, so
It
this
was
is like
legit.
top notch.
She has a couple acres, so they were able to do like
that's
a big
really
show.
cool.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that like she pretty much like there's some other houses, you know, like kind of farm ranch style houses around her. So I'm pretty sure that like everybody got a
was in
show.
on it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
It was really fun.
Fun stuff. Yeah, we didn't do the fireworks this year. You know, my kids are getting older and they're not quite as
They
excited
didn't want
about
to throw
fireworks.
the picnic blanket down and go sit in some random.
Yeah, we've done it before. Like we've done some of the big ones around here. Like we did one last year where there was like live music and stuff, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But this year we just went over to some friend's house and did barbecue and you know, ate and drank. And I started working out again, so like I felt bad about like having a day where I just was a mess and eating everything in sight. But
Yeah, I took a big like 5-day cheat day.
you gotta have those, right? I mean, you can't like be good every single day.
Yeah.
You'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, no, I ate anything I wanted to.
I'm trying to get back in shape. I have a buddy, and he's really hitting me up. This is kind of like just all of a sudden. He's like, I want to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And it's a buddy that I actually have done a little bit of climbing with like 10 years ago.
What's like the Mount Everest,
So like Mount Everest is like super dangerous.
Yeah, I know, but-
Kilimanjaro is not.
where is that?
Oh, it's in Africa, in Tanzania,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, and it's not like roped in kind of stuff, but you have to be in good shape because it's like 19,000 feet. It takes like 6 days to get up to the top. So anyway, like we've been talking about that, maybe doing that next year. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to get back in shape because I've been a slug lately.
Yeah, you're gonna need to go on some
I know.
Texas hikes.
I know,
however you
some
can.
hardcore stuff, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, it's always good to have like a day where you know, have a little bit of cheat day. And
Or 5
Other
days.
Sarah, did you get to do anything fun for 4th of July?
Well, for 4th of July, I was up at 5 in the morning because I ran a 5K at
You
7 in the
did?
morning.
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's amazing. Look at you. Well, Sarah, close Sarah and I were out there like eating and drinking. You were running in a race.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I
Good
did
for
the Arlington Firecracker 5K. It was their inaugural 5K. It was a lot of fun. Right afterwards, we stuck around and watched the parade. So
Yeah,
That sounds like
Denton
a
has
great day.
something like that. They have a 5K and then they have their Jubilee parade.
I used to really be into running and do a lot of like 5K, 10K, like half marathon races like in my younger
I
days.
just am not a runner. I don't. I could like run and walk, but I'm just like after a mile, I'm like,
You're like, I'm
I
tired.
think I'm good. Let's do
I think
something
I'm good.
else.
Where's the water station?
Like, well, I just don't like I don't like repetitive.
yeah,
The
I
same
hear
thing
you.
over and over again. That's why I like CrossFit because it's like hit,
Right, it's a
they're
little-
hit
dude,
workouts,
I
so
hear
it's
you.
like there's 3 or 4 things that you're doing.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving into some topics. Man, I hate to say it, but I think we have to touch base about Madonna again because there's been some new news come out that is pretty shocking, and people are just now starting to really talk about it. So for those who didn't see last week's segment, Madonna was intubated when she was found unresponsive in her house or apartment, and had to spend some days in the ICU, and thankfully she recovered very quickly. And all that was said about her her stay was that she had a bacterial infection. And so last week we were trying to figure out what exactly would have happened to her, because it's kind of a weird story. Most of the time, if you have a bacterial infection that is severe enough to make you unresponsive and need to be intubated, like you're really, really, really sick, and you normally would spend a lot of time in the hospital.
Didn't you say sepsis last time? Like that's
we were just
that
guessing.
might have been what happened. Yeah.
Well, we were just speculating, right? Because it was just weird that she was sick enough to be intubated, which means you're put on a breathing machine and be in the ICU. But then she was back to normal in a few days. And so we were all like, well, we'll have to see if anything else comes out. So I guess it was yesterday or the day before, like things started hitting the news. And I just clipped Sarah, can you throw up? Yeah, there's some clips. And so what's being reported in multiple news outlets is that Madonna had to be given Narcan to like bring her back to life. And I was like, what? That's like a completely...
What is that drug that they like stab into your chest?
That'd be epinephrine. So Narcan, you're on the right track though. So Narcan is basically the reversal for opioids. So when people,
like the thing we talked about with the police officer.
And we're going to talk about that in the next little segment. But yeah, Narcan is what you give somebody when they're having an acute opioid overdose. Now here's the weird part, okay? When I started reading these articles, they all said, and first off, they were saying from undisclosed reports. Like it was all like undisclosed reports. Like nobody was saying like who was saying that she had to be given Narcan, but all these news outlets are saying it. And then they were going on to say that they didn't think she had a drug overdose. Now, that's the part that's really confusing, because Narcan is not used for anything outside of reversing an acute opioid.
Maybe it was like a prescribed overdose, like an accidental thing.
Could be. So digging into it a little bit more, I found one news article that reported she has been taking a lot of painkillers lately in preparation for this big tour that she's about to have. And so that does all kind of make sense.
From like sore joints.
Yeah, from like, all the stuff she has to do. So, I mean, if it is true, and this is like I said, news outlets reporting this, they all say unconfirmed sources, but everyone's saying it, that she was given Narcan to like bring her back. I mean, really the only thing that it would be a narcotic overdose, like
there's no other reason to use it.
So there were a couple articles that said, Narcan can be used for septic shock. Now, I used to work in the ICU, did trauma critical care, and so we actually managed shock of all sorts, circulatory, septic, cardiogenic, all of that. Never had I heard of anyone giving Narcan for septic shock. There is one study, and I actually pulled the study and just like took a picture of it. Sarah, throw it up just there for a second. Yeah. So this is a study from 1989. Naloxone is the generic name for Narcan. And so this study had 5 patients in it that were critically ill to the point that nothing else was working, and they gave them Narcan and their blood pressure went up slightly, but like 4 out of the 5 died.
Yikes.
So like this is not something that's being done. People are not giving Narcan for septic shock. No, absolutely not. Now, so I think one of 3 things happened. One, she wasn't really given Narcan, and somebody just said that, and now everyone's running with it, and it's total BS, okay? 2, they found her down and unresponsive, and they give her Narcan just in case, you know? I mean, because as we're going to talk about in the next
segment. She's a celebrity. That's like...
It could happen. Yeah, people, celebrities die of painkiller overdoses all the time.
Maybe she was at like a get-together, too. Like, who knows?
Who knows? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And so it's possible that she did get Narcan, but she really had something else going on. Or 3... she really did have a little bit too much painkiller or narcotics in her system, and the Narcan is what kind of made her recover so quickly.
Yeah.
When we think about it, like what is more likely, that someone had a bacterial infection and sepsis and was so sick they had to be intubated, go to the ICU, and then miraculously they're better in like 3 days and go home? Or is it more believable that somebody got a little bit too much narcotic on board, was given Narcan, spent a day in the ICU, and was better? I mean, the latter is actually much more believable.
Yeah.
And so, it's a crazy story. And this is not in any way to, dig on Madonna. I love Madonna.
If we take out the bacterial part, there's no way. Like, if she doesn't...
I mean, who knows? Like, it's wild. Like, the whole bacterial thing really kind of threw me off.
Yeah, that's why we immediately thought.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense, but maybe. So, Yeah, I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to dig on Madonna. I mean, there's some amazing people that have to take pain medications for various reasons, and it is totally possible to, take too many or whatever, or get caught up in things. And so, if she was given Narcan, and whether she needed it or not, I mean, it's not anything bad against her. We're worried about her and want her to, be healthy. But Sarah, what do you think? Now that we've discussed this, what are your thoughts on the matter?
I was just trying to think, how old is Madonna?
62.
62.
Or 3.
Yeah.
It's either 62 or 63.
Yeah. I like her a lot. I like her music. So I think it's sad. It's a sad situation. But
Definitely sad, and they had to postpone her whole tour. I mean, she was supposed to go on tour July 15th, and now it's like, I don't think it's canceled, but it's indefinitely postponed.
Yeah, I could definitely see like she's just like overworked her body, and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna take an extra dose of what I normally take.
Could be.
Because I feel like crap.
Yeah,
and
it was
she
too
went
much.
Too far.
Yeah, and sometimes when you combine those medications with things like alcohol or something, then they're amplified.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, either it wasn't true, she didn't take Narcan. They may have just given her Narcan because she was unresponsive, or it is true and she had a little bit too much painkiller.
I could see
I wonder if we'll find out.
I could see an EMT like what if she had a party at her house and they're like, holy crap, Madonna's passed out in her room, and they're like, I know what it is, it's drugs.
Dude, well, we're going to talk about this in the next segment because the opioid thing is just getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I hope Madonna's not having some sort of really big problem with this.
I feel like she would have had a drug problem already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she ever really was known for that.
I feel like if she did have a drug problem, I'm sure she did have a drug problem. It's just social media wasn't
big back then.
Yeah, so it wasn't like everybody's taking a picture of Madonna like.
I don't know. I never heard of Madonna
being
kind of off the rails like some of the celebrities, but
yeah, I'm sure she has done probably every drug you could probably think of.
Maybe, I don't know.
We
need to have her on the show. We can ask her.
Yeah, Madonna. Get over it.
All right. Well, Madonna, wish you the best. I hope you make a quick recovery. Let me know what you think happened to Madonna. We're not sure. We're just kind of guessing based on what the news says.
We're spitballing.
Hope she's all right. Okay, moving on. So the next topic is totally related, and it's something we've talked about in the past, and it's the fentanyl crisis in America. And it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. And the reason that I wanted to touch base with this topic is we have talked about this in the past, is there's a bunch of articles that have come out about fentanyl in the past couple weeks, and I think that they're fairly notable. So for those of you who don't know about fentanyl, I mean, you can either check out the old segment or I can just kind of recap it. So fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, so it's a painkiller. Now fentanyl has been used in surgery for decades. I mean, it's a great painkiller, and we use it in medicine in the correct way literally all the time. But what's happened now is people are creating it synthetically. It's created a lot in India and China as either the complete drug or a precursor. And then what happens is these cartels in Mexico buy it, and then it's brought into the United States and sold as a recreational drug. And when I first heard about fentanyl, I was like, who's stealing all the fentanyl from the hospitals? Because I just assumed that was what was happening, which was naive. But what's happening is it's getting created in labs and being shipped into the United States. And over the past 10 years, we've just seen an explosion of fentanyl in the streets, and more worrisome is the number of deaths. So one of the
scary.
It's scary, man. And I'm gonna throw some numbers out here that you may not even believe, but I promise you that they're accurate. So the provisional data for 2022 was just released in the past couple of weeks by the CDC, and what that means is they evaluated the data on the number of drug overdose deaths in the United States, and now they're kind of releasing that information. And so for 2022, there was around 107,000 overdose deaths from all drugs, okay? 68%, which equals 72,000 people, were determined to be either from fentanyl or one of the fentanyl derivatives.
Yeah, I know it's like a small dose can push you over the edge.
You're really smart. Is it because that you're here and we talk about this?
Yeah, I guess. But I think last time we talked about it, or I don't remember if I said this, but there was a news story about how some child died.
We're gonna talk about it.
You're talking about that now?
Yeah, we're going to.
Okay, cool.
That's good. See, I love that. You're so smart. So 72,000 deaths last year, fentanyl. So for reference, that's 200 people per day. That's more than car crashes, which is 43,000, and every homicide, which is 26,000 combined. That's a staggering number of people that are dying from fentanyl. And the reason people are dying is because fentanyl is so potent. So you've heard of morphine, right? It's the drug they use for painkiller. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin. And not only that, there's derivatives of fentanyl that are like up to 100 times more powerful than just base fentanyl. Like this stuff is so potent that as little as 2 milligrams of just generic fentanyl can kill an adult. Like 2 milligrams. Like, you know how much when you take ibuprofen, you take 800 milligrams? 2 milligrams of fentanyl can kill you. And so that's why there's just so many deaths.
That is wild.
So the other things that have been in the news, and you hit on it, is the number of kids that are dying of this accidentally. And so there's been a couple of stories. There was a story about a French couple that came over to the United States. It was like a year or two ago, and they stayed at Airbnb.
Yes, that's the
story. Is that
story.
the one? And
Yeah.
their 18-month-old daughter was found unresponsive and foaming at the mouth, and no one knew what happened. Well, they did toxicology, and the kid died of acute fentanyl toxicity. And so it was found out that Airbnb that they stayed out had some big party at it the week before. And so they don't know how it happened, if it was like residual fentanyl powder or maybe a pill or what, but somehow it
depends on I hope that, like, kids are like always on the floor.
Yeah, they put stuff in their mouths.
Like put her hands down, put in her face.
So one of the scariest things is looking at, this is CDC data for deaths in the 5 and under age group. In 2015, there was 10 deaths from accidental poisoning from opioids. In 2021, there was 135s. So that's an increase of 1,200% in the span of 5 or 6 years of kids 5 and under dying from accidental fentanyl overdose. And now it's like you can pull up child fentanyl death, and like you will see news articles like literally every week.
Yeah.
Because right now we're getting 2 to 3 kids a week dying from fentanyl overdose.
And then aren't other drugs being laced with that stuff?
That's exactly
to make
right.
it like more addictive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's happening is the cartels know that fentanyl is so addictive that they're putting in other drugs, and that's how a lot of like kids, not like babies or toddlers, but like high school kids, teenagers, college kids are buying drugs that they're not told that it's fentanyl, and then it is fentanyl, and they take too much and they die. I mean, it's a huge problem, and if you have kids, and we've talked to our kids, like both my daughter and my son, about the danger. And it's so funny because I feel like such an old person, because remember when we were growing up, and I know I'm a little older than you, but when we were growing up, it's like, oh, drugs are bad, and really, I mean, they were bad, but I mean, people weren't like dropping dead. I mean, now people are literally dying by the tens and thousands or 100,000s. I mean, if you have kids, you need to talk to them, because this is a massive problem, and it's a problem like in the cities, and it's a problem in the suburbs, and it's a problem like in the rural areas, that this fentanyl is just everywhere. And you can see that in the number of drug seizures that are happening, the number of deaths that are happening. We know a person that died of a fentanyl overdose in our town.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I literally know somebody that died of a fentanyl overdose myself. So if you think that someone may be having an issue of fentanyl, there are symptoms that you might recognize. Mostly people who have acute fentanyl toxicity will be unresponsive. Who is unresponsive? Remember Madonna? I'm not saying it's fentanyl, but I'm just saying. But unresponsiveness, slow or just completely stopped breathing, pale or cool skin, cyanosis, which is like a blue kind of color to the skin, vomiting, and pinpoint pupils.
Okay.
And so those would be the symptoms that someone would be displaying if they were having an acute fentanyl toxicity episode. And I just think that people just need to be aware that this is out there. So what is the treatment? Well, obviously, if you think someone's having an acute overdose, call 911. Obviously, the most important thing. Rescue breathing is good. If someone's not breathing, they need rescue breathing, or they will die.
Yeah.
And then I think this is probably the most important thing is Narcan, or naloxone, which is the generic name. We have Narcan in our house. I think that if you have a kid of junior high or higher or older age bracket, that you can go to a pharmacy, you don't need a prescription, you can buy Narcan. I think it's like $50, like CVS has it, Walgreens. There's no harm in giving Narcan to someone if they're not actually having an episode. It's a harmless drug. It will not hurt somebody.
Yeah.
But it absolutely 100% can save someone's life if they're overdosing on fentanyl or other narcotics. And it's not like a shot or anything. It's a nasal spray. Like you literally it's like taking Afrin. You just spray it up someone's nose. This is really important. If you or someone you know has kids, they need to be aware that this stuff's out there. Narcan can literally save lives. Like I'm going to start carrying it in my car too. Like we have several doses at our house just in case, but I'm gonna start carrying it in my truck as well, because I mean, when 200 people a day are dying from fentanyl overdoses, I mean, there is a real chance that you might come across somebody that's suffering from that. So scary stuff.
Wild.
Sarah, have you ever heard of fentanyl?
I have, but you know what? I feel like I learned a lot just now because I had no idea how strong that drug is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's really crazy scary of how fast it's killing people, especially children.
Yeah.
Like it's just sad. But
Totally. So I think the biggest thing is just making people aware. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't know that this is out there, and that's why I think it's important to talk about it. And
Definitely.
Robert De Niro, his grandson died of fentanyl overdose just this week. Yeah, not his son, his grandson. It's crazy. I mean, it's
Because it can be put in.
Allegedly,
cocaine
he
and
bought
stuff.
he supposedly bought pills, but they weren't supposed to be fentanyl, but they were laced with fentanyl. It's crazy.
That's very scary.
All right, very depressing stuff.
Makes you
Moving
second
on.
guess. Taking drugs.
Drugs are bad. Okay, moving on. So this one is about a mommy makeover nightmare. So
Okay.
I was flipping through articles, and this was on Newsweek. It's from a influencer named Ebony Bolden. She is mostly on TikTok, and if you want to look her up, it's at @THEE.Ebony, EBONIEB, Ebony B. And so she wrote this article, and it ended up in Newsweek, and it was talking about how the title of it was, "I had a mommy makeover and I'll never have cosmetic surgery again." And of course, I had to look at this because I do a lot of mommy makeovers. In fact, every Monday is my mommy makeover day. And, in general, across the board, all these patients are really happy. I mean, it's a good experience. And so I was really curious, what happened to her that she had this horrible experience, and I felt bad for her, so I wanted to read about it. So I'm going to kind of go through it, and Sarah, I know you already know what happened, near Sarah, not far Sarah. The story is probably going to sound pretty familiar to you because we've had similar stories before. So the first thing that she started talking about is how cheap that the surgery could be obtained for, which is a little bit of a warning. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh man, this is already going down a bad pathway, because there are ways to get plastic surgery very cheap. And unfortunately, as we have talked about in story after story after story here on the show in the past year, a lot of times when corners are cut like that on cost, it results in bad outcomes.
Yeah.
And so she was talking about how she got a deal to go to a clinic in Miami, Florida, and get a tummy tuck and a breast augmentation for $6,000, which that's pretty cheap.
That's usually how much
So for
boob job
where I'm
costs.
at, and I'm not even in downtown Dallas, which here would be much more expensive. Where I'm at, tummy tuck and breast aug, there's some variables, but you're probably looking at 10 to 12,000. Now, that all being said, because she had to travel, she had to rent a car for 10 days, and she had to get an Airbnb for 10 days. So, I had to figure that was a couple or 3,000. So immediately I'm like, holy crap, she's already kind of getting close to the point where she could have had the surgery done nearby. And so she went to what I call plastic surgery patient mills. Do you know, Far Sarah, have you ever heard of a plastic surgery patient mill?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Tell me more.
I'm going to educate you on this. These are important. So what these are is so when somebody wants to come for me for plastic surgery, they generally will look up plastic surgeons in Denton, which is the town my office is, or maybe look me up by name. And I'm what you're looking up, okay? A plastic surgery mill is a corporation that buys a surgery center, and then they basically get plastic surgeons as contractors. And generally that's people who might be fresh out of training, or they just haven't built a practice. And so the patients are being evaluated by nurses or medical assistants online for what surgery they want to have done.
Yeah.
Surgery is scheduled. They show up to the place and they meet the surgeon literally before they have the surgery, and they may not see the surgeon ever again. And so we've talked about these on the show before because so many bad outcomes come up from these type of things. And it's all related to multiple factors, things like, traveling for surgery and then going home before you're completely recovered, or not having a good doctor-patient relationship. That's just critical to having good outcomes in plastic surgery is patient and doctor talk and determine exactly what they want done.
The key to any relationship.
That's right.
Communication.
Exactly, communication, so important. So she went to this place. She arrived at 4 a.m. Her surgery didn't happen until 7 p.m. that night, which means that they were doing surgeries at like 8, 9. I mean, a mommy makeover, even if you have 2 people doing it, is like a minimum like 5 or 6 hours. I usually take about 6 or 7, but I'm by myself. So if you had like a nurse or something doing part of the work, you could cut that down. But I mean, they were operating into the night on her, which is just not safe. She also said that the clinic, everyone there, English was not their primary language, and so that would, cause a language barrier, which also makes outcomes worse. It's one of the things I talk about for medical tourism, where people go to, like, say, Mexico or Dominica to get plastic surgery. Language barriers definitely are a potential cause of bad outcomes. She met the surgeon literally right before the procedure, said the surgeon was nice, but I met him right before surgery.
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag, big red flag. I mean, that's a huge, huge red flag. When she woke up, she was in a lot of pain. They sent her home without medication. She got no pain medicine, no antibiotics. And apparently her prescriptions were given to someone else. And because it was done so late, she couldn't get any more prescriptions. So she went like days without getting pain medication or antibiotics, which is a huge no-no. Right before she was to leave town, they pulled her drains for her tummy tuck. So it's common or standard to have a drain for tummy tuck. Normally drains can stay in up to 2 or 3 weeks. Well, they pulled hers, I guess, around 7 or 10 days. So she was still draining fluid on the inside. So she had the complication of a seroma, which is a fluid collection. And then that caused more problems where she got this like bad, lump in her abdomen. And so her outcome really wasn't maybe as ideal as she wanted. And so at the very end of it, she was just talking about how, maybe she put herself at some risk here. And she even talked about Jackie O, about her experience. And, the thought of, well, did I do something that could have left my family without, a mom or a wife?
Yep.
And it was really sad. Like, I feel really bad for her that she had this experience, because this is definitely not the experience that plastic surgery should be.
No.
When we've talked about
You're supposed to come out feeling better, not...
Yeah, and it's supposed to be safe. I mean, all of the things
it's
that
elective.
Right, yeah, it's elective surgery. If you're going to do something elective, absolutely make it as safe as possible. And so there were so many points in her story where I was just like, man, that's just really not safe or not ideal. And
She should have watched this.
she should be watching the show. I'm going to tag her.
Yeah, you should.
I should tag her. Because, I feel bad for her, and I feel bad for anyone who goes through that experience, because it looks bad on my profession as plastic surgeon. So that's why I'm here saying this is not right.
That you're just like cutting people up. Bye.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, the doctor-patient relationship goes out the window, and it becomes a corporate for-profit, enterprise. And it's not good for patients, and it's not good for our specialty. So. No. So Ebony, I really do appreciate you telling everyone your story, and I think it's a good, educational thing for people to know what to watch out for. And so I hate that it happened to you. I hope that you're okay and everything has turned out all right. And do thank you for being brave enough to tell your story. I think that's great. So it protects other people. Her telling her story and us doing what we do. Yeah. It's all designed to protect people. So it's good. Yay! High five. Ding. High five for Sarah. Yeah, there it is. Cool. All right, moving on to another interesting plastic surgery story. This one blew my mind. And my wife put me on the story. Thanks, Cindy. I always appreciate when you give me content. This is a good one. And then when she told me this, I didn't believe it. So, Kevin Costner, right?
Yes.
The guy from Yellowstone. He's an actor, legend, whatever. So his wife of 18 years recently filed for divorce. Christine Baumgartner, I think she was a designer of some sort. She designed clothes or handbags or something like that. I wasn't
have no idea.
100% familiar with her.
They divorced like during the Yellowstone, like this recently?
So she filed for divorce in May. This literally just happened. Okay, so he had a prenup, all right, because apparently he was already rich and famous before they got married, and so they had this prenup, and so like they're going through this divorce, and of course, they're trying to figure out, because he's worth like $400 million.
Yeah.
And so she filed a request for, this is a good one. She wanted $250,000 a month in child support. A month.
How old are their children?
So they have 3 teenage kids aged 13 to 16. And she wanted $250,000.
She's trying to bank on it because she's banking on it, because
Yeah.
they're going to be 18 soon.
Right. So she's, I don't know. So what? So of course his lawyers saw this, and I mean that number's an insane number, and they're like,
that's some people's dream salary.
that's like $3 million a year.
Yeah.
That's per month, not a year. That's
I know, but I'm saying that monthly thing.
that's
I'm
crazy.
like, whoa.
So of course Kevin Costner fires. I guess their divorce is maybe not the most cordial thing ever. Like it seems like there's some animosity here because he fires back and says that money is not for the kids because his wife last year spent $188,000 a month, not a year, a month on plastic surgery. I was like, what? I don't even know if that's possible.
What is she putting in her body?
I have no idea.
Besides, what?
So
She's like replacing organs slowly over
I had
time.
to like go and look this up because I was like, this cannot. It has to be $188,000 a year. There's just no fathomable way someone would spend $188,000 a month on plastic surgery. But that's what he said, and I don't know if he misspoke or maybe he's including other things. But I was just reading.
He's probably like including like Botox fillers.
Okay, so here's what I did. So I there's just no way you could do $188,000 a month. So I was thinking, is it possible for someone to spend $188,000 in a year? Right? Is that even possible?
On plastic surgery.
On plastic surgery.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. If you were to pay like premium price for Botox, I mean like outrageous price, and you got it
Which she probably does because she probably lives in like Beverly Hills
and I mean maybe, not with me, but like for like outrageous pricing, spend maybe $5,000 a year. Now that's stupid prices. Like for example, like I give to my wife, that would be like less than $1,000 a year. I mean, so 4,000 or 5,000 is an outrageous number. Likewise, you could probably do that with fillers, things like Juvederm, Voluma, things like that. So there, I mean, we're at 10,000. Let's throw in some lasers, right? I mean, like really nice lasers, expensive lasers. So maybe 20,000 there. So that's 30,000. How about surgery? I mean, it would be hard to have $100,000 worth of surgery. I mean, even if you were paying insane Beverly Hills prices, to have $100,000 in surgery.
Yeah, and that's not something you'd need yearly.
Right, exactly. You get like one breast aug or one tummy tuck or
Every 10 years, right?
I mean, it's insane. Like facials, maybe you could get like $30,000 worth of skincare in facials and stuff. I worked it out. Even if you were just blowing money like it was water, I don't think you could spend $150,000 a year.
I bet he's saying like that much, $188,000 a month in like self-care.
Maybe like
shopping
trainers,
and
like
maintaining her appearance.
It has to be. I just can't fathom this. So even that though, but if you think about that, spending $180,000 a month.
Is she that? Does she look like she spends?
She's beautiful. Like throw that picture up again, far Sarah.
Oh yeah.
And she's 49, I think.
How long were they married?
18 years. Yeah, he's like 67 and she's 49, I think. Yeah, she's a pretty girl, but she doesn't look like she's overdone though.
No, she doesn't. So that must be like spending in general.
That has to be.
Like spending for like shopping,
massages,
going places. Yeah.
Personal trainers.
Yeah, that definitely is probably what it's from.
I'm not sure I could spend that much money. $188,000 a month. That's insane money. But I don't know. I guess when you're Kevin Costner and you have like $500 million, and
I'm sure he's gotten like an increase in popularity
recently.
With
Yellowstone.
So I'm
Do you watch Yellowstone?
I did. I haven't watched like the new ones.
Yeah, I'm kind of behind on it.
I'm really behind.
Are you? I watched the first 3 seasons, and then I don't know. I saw a butterfly and got distracted, and started watching
somehow I just don't have Paramount Plus anymore.
Oh, really? I don't have Paramount.
I think it's because I used to have YouTube TV.
Oh,
and I turned that off, and I got Hulu because I had like the Hulu Disney package.
Oh, I have that too.
So yeah.
Yeah. Far Sarah, do you like Yellowstone?
You'll probably be. I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
I mean, I'm not. No. It's funny. Everyone talked about how that was like the greatest show ever, and I was like, oh, I have to watch it. And then I watched it, and I was like, yeah, it was good, but
like I watched like the first couple episodes, and I was like, and then I kind of like got addicted to it. But I think that's like how binge TV really is, because like I've been rewatching like old shows that I watched like that came out when I was like in middle school, and I remember being like, I'd rather go do something else than do this.
I would rather do anything than keep watching the show.
Yeah, but then it's like, but you have to make sure that you go watch it like every Friday at 6 p.m. So it's like whenever I was in middle school and high
like
school,
work.
if somebody was like, hey, let's go do this, I'd
nope.
be like, yeah, I'm going to go do that instead of sit at my house.
Yeah.
For sure.
Speaking of shows, have either of you guys watched White Lotus?
No.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that one is pretty good. Everyone was talking about how White Lotus is like this great new show, and so my wife and I started watching it, and there's 2 seasons out, and it is pretty good. It's worth watching. It's bizarre. Like it's almost like Seinfeld, where I'm watching this show and I'm not really sure what it's about, but it's.
Is it funny? Or is it
It's
like
like
a drama?
dark comedy.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like dark comedy.
Who stars in it?
So, do you know, what is her name? Jennifer Coolidge, that was Stifler's mom from American
Yes.
Pie.
Oh, I think
And
I
she was
have
in-
seen. Is it the one where they're like, she's like a realtor?
No, I think that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
There's
she's
another.
like
there's
she's like a
sh-
rich person. It's like,
Oh.
so the White Lotus is like a resort. So the first season they were in Maui, and then the second season they're in Spain, or no, not Spain, Italy, Sicily. They're in Sicily.
Oh, it's
And so it's
okay.
all about like things that happen at a hotel, and the cast changes for each season. It's almost like American Horror Story,
Oh, okay.
but Jennifer Coolidge is in each season, at least so far.
Okay,
But-
cool. She was in a show on Netflix, I think, like a TV show.
Yeah,
but it
she's
was
been in
like
a lot
a
of stuff.
drama. It was like a dark comedy drama.
Probably one
thing.
of my favorite things that she's in. If you like dogs, that movie called Best in Show. Have you guys ever seen that? I don't know, we're really excited. We're in the weeds here. It's probably time to end the show. We're so far in the weeds. But yeah, Best in Show is great with Jennifer Coolidge. That's one of our favorites. But White Lotus, check out White Lotus. That one is pretty good. I do like it.
What channel is that?
HBO Max or something?
Okay. I'm like, what channel?
What channel is it on?
What subscription, really?
Well, everybody, please leave us a comment. If you have any questions about any of the topics we talked about today, we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode, and we'll be back next week.
Bye.
Bye.